Dustin Diggs. With Dustin. The Daily Dirt with Dustin Diggs. Dig.
All right, welcome to the Daily Dirt with Dustin Diggs. Exciting podcast tonight. Its64boy calling straight from Virginia. Let me get a little clap here from the audience. Super music producer. So a super music producer, I guess, means you make beats, you do your own engineering. Am I hitting the right things here?
Absolutely, Matt, man. Just to give you a walk through what it looks like in my daily life, man, where I kind of get inspiration just from, growing up, from the age of 4, just seeing my pops DJing on the 1s and 2s, hearing anything from the Beatles, Smokey Robinson, Dr. Dre, Eminem, just taking, everything that I instilled and kind of incorporating, great sounds into my beats and being able to lay everything out and arrange it from the intro to the chorus to the actual part where the artist actually records on, back into the chorus, bridges, and kind of arranging the records, what have you. Anybody can produce a record, but it's how you arrange it as well. So I'm kind of both. I produce and I arrange.
Okay, you were touching base on your pops being a DJ. Kind of tell us a little bit. That's kind of interesting. His backstory. Where did he grow up, and what kind of clubs was he DJing when you?
Well, actually, he kind of grew up, in Houston, Texas. So he was kind of like in a big area. So he was kind of just, networking with people, DJing on the 1s and 2s, and just getting himself out there and just going to different clubs out there. But he actually met my mom in Virginia. So when they connected, and as I was getting older, I seen him DJ, the different weddings and different parties, and then he started doing stuff in the house. He was DJing, and I wanted to go down there. They used to rap on the microphone and everything. They was like, "Man, you too little to to be in the right down here with us right now, man. You need to go upstairs."
Right.
Man.
What year period we're talking? Like early '90s, 2000s, or what was when you're?
Man, this early '90s.
Early '90s when like Master P and all that great music came out in the '90s. Yeah.
Yeah, you had Cash Money.
Yeah.
You had Master P,
Too
No
Short.
Limit Soldiers.
Yeah.
And
Too Short.
Too Short.
Yeah.
You had E40. You had Outkast.
Right. That's when
so many.
That's what I grew up on. See, I grew up. I was in high school then, in junior high, and that's the music we would listen to. Is all those artists you were just talking about, and that to me is like the good stuff. Like all this stuff today, it's fine what it is, but like I just remember that stuff was it was so raw back then. It was just I don't know. It was just because it was it was something different. Nobody's ever heard stuff like that before.
Absolutely, and it was just authentic. It was just authentic.
Right.
It told a story too. Everybody had like a story too.
And so, growing up, so your dad, what kind of like mentor was your dad? Is that where you kind of learn how to create like because I feel like what's great about really good producers is almost like filmmakers that you create a story within making beats, like a build up to like, and so you're just with the feel and you're setting a mood. It's like you're almost like a filmmaker for audio. And so
that's exactly how it is.
And so is that like? Did your dad kind of teach you stuff, or did you learn some stuff from your dad by seeing him do certain things?
It was crazy because I just used to listen to the music that he used to spin. But what I started doing was, when I was young at the time, I couldn't really do the things that they were doing. So I kind of took it upon myself I kind of took that image for what they were doing and I implemented it upstairs, man. I remember for Christmas, my aunt got me a boom box, man. It had a disc on the top and the tape at the bottom, man. That was the best because you could play everything in the disc and you can record it right on the tape. So I actually started, man, by beating on the walls, and I was actually just making beats on the walls in the bathroom and was just kind of going over, and I was actually rapping over the beats when I was hitting the walls and stuff.
Really?
And then it transitioned into going into the radio. I found like some old discs that my pops had in his crates. They had crates back then with like the vinyls.
With all the vinyls,
so I actually, was going in some of his crates and I found some beats that he had, like just instrumentals. That's what they called them back then, was just instrumentals. And I used to put them in the boom box and used to play it, press record, man, and just had a good time from there, and just was, and from there it just became history.
Well, that's interesting. When you're talking about beating on the walls, it's like you were sampling your own unique kind of sound, and so you're discovering how hidden things certain ways made certain different sounds, and different kind of like a material would make a different sound. So it's kind of genius in the sense, like yeah. So then get into it. Like, it sounds like you. So you're saying you rapped a little. So did you start out your career trying to be a rapper performer, or did you always want to do that kind of behind the scenes kind of deal?
I actually started out rapping and writing lyrics and things like that. But my passion was definitely production.
Yeah.
And that's still my passion, production. But I also like to compose, like far as write. I love to write for people and just be able to kind of give people direction, man, and
right.
Help other artists out there that I see that have a lot of talent that can get them to the next level.
So get into the music business. Did you have full support with the family? And then, what was the feedback when you started really taking it seriously and start working with all these artists and start making this music and these beats?
Man, at the beginning, I don't think it was as supportive at the beginning.
Right.
I would say probably 06 to probably about 2008.
Uh-huh.
Because, my pops wanted the best for me. I'm not saying that he didn't want me to pursue what I wanted to do, but
right.
He definitely wanted me to have a backup plan. He wanted me to do everything that I could to make sure that, I'm successful in life.
Right.
But he was like, man, look, you got to do something. You got to either go to the military or you got to go to
right.
some type of school, man, to just, expand your knowledge.
Right.
So I actually, in 2009, man, when I graduated from high school, actually, I jumped into, I went to Norfolk State University, in Norfolk, Virginia.
Uh-huh.
And my major was mass communications, and I minored in music technology. The music was already in me, so I was excited to, minor in music, and, it was a big network. I feel like when I went to college, it was a great experience. I had a good time. I was able to expand my knowledge, networking with different people from all over. That was the best thing out of it for me, and being able to get different sounds from different individuals to be able to create that energy.
Right. I think I think that's the biggest key to success that people probably don't realize. Just in music, it's obviously talent takes you far, but it really does come down to making those connections and the people you know.
It's all in who you know, man.
Get into the right circles and meeting the right people and just being there at the right time sometimes is even important as well. Right.
Yeah, and it was crazy. It was crazy because back in 2008, I actually, I did a club song, and T.I.'s wife, Tiny, actually reached out to me on MySpace. This is MySpace.
Wow, this is going back in the day, yeah.
Man, and then I did this song called "Throw It Back." It was like a club record, and she was like, "Hey, I love that record," and she quoted that record, and then she wanted me to go on tour. It was with T.I., Lil Wayne. It was gonna be dope, man. I was pumped up about the show, but I had to choose between, my pops was like, this all sounds good, but you need to really think about what you want to do in your career and just have a backup plan. So they wasn't really for me going on tour. I mean, I was like 18 years old, man.
Gosh.
They was like, yo, he's young and he'll get into anything, so they wanted the best for me, man. And fast forward to now, man, I really appreciated the things that they kind of instilled and, wanted the best for me, because not only that, I graduated college, I have a banking background, and also, I own my own record label. We got distribution with Empire Distribution.
Oh, wow.
Shout out to GT Digital. We doing some great things. Shout out to Networking Queen as well, Krista. I mean, she's putting everything together, and she connects people, man. That's what she does. And
Yeah.
you know, I just want to give a shout out to her as well. And also, man, shout out to my family, man, my wife, my kids. You know, that they the reason why, you know, I go hard at what I do every day. So, you know, that's what it's about, man. Family and good energy.
Right.
So that's what I'm about.
It seems like you got a good head on your shoulder to be, because this is kind of been a, you know, it's a dirty business. Obviously, the music business can be cruel, and so to go into the game and knowing those business ethics and and be business smart about what you're doing is definitely, I think, key and key to survival in the music game, in my opinion.
Oh man. Oh man, it's dirty, man. I'm gonna tell you, because I came from a restaurant background as well. I mean, I was in the restaurant before I got into banking. I tell people all the time, man, if you won't serve it to your mom, don't serve it to nobody. You know, I'm big on serving the right thing. Just stand on what you say you're gonna do. Don't go out there acting, you know, portraying like you can do this and you can't stand on your word. So it's a lot of that going on in the music industry, man. People say things that they can do, but in actuality, they have a guy that can do it. They're not the actual guy that can put that person in a specific position. So, you know, just acknowledging that and just knowing that, man. And that's why we kind of keep our circle real tight anyway, because, you know, I'm all about a family and someone that you can grow with. So, you know, shout out to my man, Big Wall, man. I just want to say we got a, you know, project coming tomorrow. It's dropping, Address the Culture University, the beginning. So, you know, all the students out there, man, you got to stay tuned, man, to Address the Culture University. It's an experience. It's a 5-record EP. And we going bar for bar. We having a great time on it. Shout out to my young producer, Scratch, as well. So we kind of just, it got, you know, hip-hop records. I produced all 5 of the records, and I'm actually writing on it and recording on it as well. So.
Where does the name originate from? Say the title again.
Address the Culture University.
Yeah,
the beginning.
The beginning. So what's the backstory on that? Because that's a heavy title for an album.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I like it.
Yeah. I appreciate it, man. I partnered up with Big Wall, and he's out there in Chicago. And he already had a network called Address the Culture. What I like about it is, you know, it's a network that he put out there on Roku, YouTube. It's pretty much just to give artists their flowers. Anybody that's in business, he give them their flowers. He celebrate them, you know, and get to know them more, and, you know, interview them. And, you know, we started connecting, man. I was looking at his YouTube videos. I was like, man, don't nobody edit like Big Wall. I said, I like the way you edit. And Krista actually plugged us together. Oh, wow. And it was months went by. We kept, you know, networking and talking. And then later down the road, he was like, man, you know, I would definitely like to work with you. And, you know, he interviewed me, and he celebrated me for getting one of my plaques. I got 500,000 streams on Spotify, by the way. Shout out to Anna Baby and Megatron Music. I produced a record called "Show Me Love" that's on Spotify and all digital platforms.
I'm gonna click to the. I'll keep going. I'm just clicking for the audio so they can see the Spotify page here.
Absolutely. But when I linked with Big Wall, he had a project. He already had a brand in itself, Address the Culture, and I actually heard his intro. I was like, yo, Wall, I said, I think you need to change your intro, man. He's like, okay. He said, I'm all ears. I'm listening to you. And I was like, I think we should have something more upbeat. You know, something that get the listeners, you know, having a good time. When you got the intro going, you want to get somebody ready to have a good time and have that positive, good energy before they kind of jump into the show. And I made a beat for him, man, and he actually recorded on it. He said, man, you don't know how many people dance to this intro before I bring them in. Right. And it was just, and it just felt good knowing that, you know, we did something, you know, something great. And then from there, we were thinking about how to put this title together. It took a while. We just came up with this title a couple weeks ago, and we've been working for over a year now. Oh, wow. And we just came up with the title because we was like, man, we got to think of a dope title that represents us. And it kept delaying. We kept having dates for the project. It kept delaying. It kept delaying. And then we said, you know what? Address the Culture University, the beginning. He was like, that's it. That's why it took us so long.
Right. Well, that's sometimes in movies that they have a working title, and then all of a sudden, before the movie's released, they'll change it because obviously things change, and so they figure out what's better for the movie and for marketing and things like that. Kind of, you talked a little bit about. We were talking about the process, but talk about how important, because you're saying how the intro, how you want to catch people's attention, because let's face it, like there's so much music out there today and people's attention span so small. Like, how important is it to catch the person's attention right off the bat, like when they hear a song?
Oh, man, that's very important, man. I'm gonna tell you, like, I'll say probably somebody attention span is probably 5 to 10 seconds before they all in.
Right.
So I feel like you got to catch their attention in their ear 5 to 10 seconds before, you jumping in, because if not, they're going to skip and go to the next song. I mean, now on average, a song is like a minute to 2 minutes.
Right. I noticed that when people come on the show here, it's like they play their song and it's over in like 2 minutes. And I was like, damn, I was just getting into that song. I was
just getting into it.
Because I'm old school.
But it makes you want to But it makes you want to replay it, though.
Right. So I guess people just keep it on loop. I guess that works. I think a lot of times somebody was talking about they do that, especially for like people that do the Spotify and all those different platforms, because if the person listens to it 3 times on loop, well, that's three listens instead of just one. So they do that. They do that for traffic, I guess. Kind of tell me how your process, like. Do you go in the, like, how does like beats come to you? Like, are you thinking about stuff? Do you hear different samples of like sounds and life and kind of like think, oh, that'd be a cool, bring that sound into making a beat out of that? Like,
yeah, I'll say, I think it's based on energy, man. Like, I feel like if my energy is great, like just say if I'm at work and somebody, said something that I didn't really agree with, then I may have something a little darker today on the beat.
Okay. Little pissed off sound, yeah.
Yeah, that part. And then, on the other end, I might have something on the upbeat. I'm in a good mood. I'm ready to go. I might have something on the West Coast up tempo, that like that beach party vibe that make people feel good about themselves and want to have a good time. So it's different vibes for every moment in your life.
Is it somewhere like, since it's do you find a certain time every day to go down in the laboratory and work on it, or is it something that you kind of like just inspired and you just go, you're just there all the time? I'm I'm
actually there. I'm there all the time, okay. But I also spend some time doing research. I look at what's out there. I look at the competition, because you got to look at what's the competition to see what you're up against. So I see what's going on and see what people doing. And, I kind of still do my own thing and create my own sound to have my own image, but I still listen to, what's out there.
Right. Do you feel like the music industry's changed a lot in the last 5 years with
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think it changed from the lyrics. I feel like the beats are a little more dumbed down and simple, but but back then it was always about keep it simple, stupid. I mean, that always been the motto, but I think that it got stupider. I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, it got to the point where it's so basic, it's almost like nursery rhymes nowadays. It's not really telling the story. It's kind of just making people dance and feel good. I think that's the way that the industry has been going for the last about 5 years.
Right.
But I feel like it's gradually, some artists coming in every now and then. I feel like it's changing a little bit. You still have artists that still, can write great content.
Right. Well, it seems like it's so, maybe it's because it's so, this is just my opinion here, but it's so oversaturated because everybody's on Spotify. There's millions of people on there. So if there was an innovative new artist, it's kind of hard to find them. Back in the day, it seemed like it was easier that you would find that innovative artist, or I can't think of a new artist in the last couple of years that's kind of like I can be like, oh, they're really changing the game or whatever. Like, You know, I just nobody really comes to mind. I always just think of like the people 10, 20 years ago that are still doing great things.
I mean, I think of like I like J. Cole. I think
Yeah,
J. Cole
yeah,
is a great artist, but he's been around for a little bit,
right,
yeah. So I mean, I think of like artists that kind of stayed. I mean, stayed relevant. Like I
right,
mean, Drake has a hell of a run.
right, yeah. But he's been
That's
around
one
a while
artist
though.
I
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. So you know, you think of the artists that's still there that create that great content.
yeah. Um, like what was like some of the like big artists that really like when you start working with them, you're like, oh wow, because sometimes. You know, I'll interview people like yourself, and then I'm like, wow, man, I'm like, this is kind of crazy because I was just doing interviews with my friends like a year ago in my basement. Now I get to reach out to Virginia and talk to this great artist. And did you have moments like that like stepping stones or chapters or like, wow, I can't believe I made it to this spot?
Yeah, man. Actually, when I produced the record for Jacopo, and he was actually in China, and also I produced, and he actually got two chains on the record. It was called Top of the Hill.
Oh
So
wow,
that was a dope process right there. And they created a video for it, man, and it's doing really well, man. It has over 500,000 streams easily right now over on Spotify.
holy shit,
So
wow,
that was like that was a great moment in itself because the vibe was just great from the beginning. Even just building the build up to the beat was great.
how do you know like what's to yourself? Because obviously you're an artist and you're probably critical of your own work. Like, what's a great beat? Do you let people listen to it and look at their reaction, or is it like do you know when you know that you have something good?
Man, now I'm at the point where I kind of know when it's a good beat, like when it's a good sound. I know when it's gonna hit,
Hmm.
and I just get confirmation because when people hear, number one, it gotta be in you. You gotta
Right.
know that you gotta know that you're good at what you do. That's first and foremost. Like you gotta have that confidence. Number two, I mean, the people gonna speak for it. You know, at the end of the day, they're gonna let you know.
Right. Right. So this album coming out is kind of I want to talk about that again because that's going to be a big thing. What is dropping tomorrow at a certain time? What time is it dropping tomorrow that they can
Um,
get it?
well, it's dropping really tonight at 12 a.m. Top of the Hill with Big Wall, man. So
Okay.
shout out to Big Wall.
Okay. And
Yeah.
and so it's gonna be on all platforms. And then
hmm
how many albums is this that you've been doing it? So I was listening to your stuff earlier, and then we decided to set this interview up. But is this like the fifth or fourth album like
This
that you put out like
I would say this probably about the
fifth? Okay.
fifth project that I put out. Yeah.
And do you look back at some of the older stuff that you did and kind of wish you can go back, or do you ever think about going back and remixing anything that you did back in the day? That kind of
Well, I never thought about remixing. I just kind of like whatever I did then. I just kind of just let it. You know, it had its
you
time.
gave it to the
Um,
universe, and then okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I gave it to the universe, and then, but sometimes, I think about listening to like the chorus and probably changing some of the content and
Mhm.
and rebirthing some of those records. So I've thought about that.
Yeah. And you were talking earlier about like your crew of people, kind of like what makes a good crew being a super producer like you to have in your repertoire? Like what's some of the people that you need?
Man, you definitely need PR.
PR, okay,
You probably need an A&R. You definitely need A&Rs. You also need other producers. That's like-minded like yourself, and trustworthy, and people that get stuff done. Um, you probably need directors like that shoot movies, because it's good. They can help get you like sync deals, for like TV shows, movies, video games, things like that. Um, Probably lawyers. Lawyers are
right.
important as well because they can get you the best deal to ever come off on the table. Something that you might think is good, it may not be good. So that's what I think that you should have I mean, in your pocket.
You said something about video games being because I know a couple producers here in St. Louis, not as big as you, but like they actually are working with video games and getting music on video games too. So I think being a music producer, people might think, oh, it's just working with artists, but really you can work with like doing commercials, films, doing soundtracks as well as video games. There's so many different little platforms where you can put your sound.
Absolutely, man. It's more to it. It's not just creating a beat for artists. The sky's the limit for a producer.
Right. Which one do you think is most lucrative to you at the moment?
I would say what's most lucrative, I would definitely say TV.
TV, okay.
Hands down. Hands down, TV and video games, because number one, once you get it done, you really don't have to wait on like the artist to get in the studio. That's already time in itself. The royalties are okay, but they're not really paying really that much royalties on Spotify, man. You got to get out there and work merchandise, NFTs and things like that.
Right.
And being able to like those sync deals, man, and like commercials and stuff like that. That's really where the money is.
Right. So people that watch the show, this show, we got a lot of artists that watch the show. It's mainly, this is what the show's for. It's just artists in general. But what would be, if somebody wanted to get into music producing, what would be some of the first steps that you would tell them to do?
I would say number one, learn the music business.
Learn the business.
Take business law. Like before you get into something, really learn what a producer is. Like research what a producer is, music producer. Just educate yourself before jumping in, because sometimes you might have the idea of wanting to be that, but that research may change your mind on if you want to be it or not. Not saying it's a bad thing, but you probably will want to do something else in that field.
Well, important thing too, would you agree with that, to make sure you get your stuff with forgive me, is it like BMI, and make sure your music watermarked, yeah, because there's a lot of thievery,
that's part of
right?
the music business,
right?
And that's part of the music business part of it. Researching that, because I took music law, so learning music law, telling you about the PROs such as BMI, ASCAP, CSAC. Also, artists, if you don't know about it, you need to educate yourself on Sound Exchange, Media Base, Nielsen BDS. All of these things are ways to help you generate more income for yourself as an artist. So, BDS is important, man. So if you getting played on a DRT radio station, which is digital radio tracking,
right?
You getting paid on that. You getting paid income on that. Also on the PROs, they got something called on stage on ASCAP. So if you ever perform, you can key that stuff in. Where you performing, who's the DJ, who's the promoter. You get paid for that.
Oh wow!
So it's just different things that artists don't really know.
Right.
Because they just haven't had no one really, give them that information.
Right. Well, do you find there's a lot of like people stealing a lot, like in your history of people trying to like maybe you show them a beat, they're a music producer, all of a sudden a month later they have some kind of beat out that's like, well, that sounds kind of real similar to what I just showed you. Like, has that ever happened to you? Obviously I don't want you to say names or anything like that, but does
that haven't really happened to me.
Okay.
But what I can say is I feel like if I did see someone make something similar to what I made, I look at it as inspiration.
Right. So
like I feel like I inspired that person to, do something like something similar to me. That's how I look at it. Some people may look at it like, oh, he stole my beat, he stole my sound. But I mean, we all know, music been around for years.
Right.
So if we really were to go back, we can all say everybody took something from something.
Right. Look at Tarantino. Obviously, if people really research Tarantino, that stuff's all been done before. Like he's off of other movies and stuff. So
Yeah, man. So I think it's all about inspiration, to be
Mm,
honest with you, more than stealing. Because even the person that says that somebody's stealing from them, they took it from somebody. Somebody else took it from them.
right,
It's a never ending thing.
right, right. Well, I want to. We did a half hour. I want to just pitch it one more time for the album dropping tomorrow. I
Oh yeah, I got it,
say it for me.
Matt.
Yes, yes, sir.
Address the Culture University drops tomorrow. It's your boy, its64boy. And Big Wall is going down.
All right.
Hey, I want to give a shout out. Hey, I just want to give a shout out to God, man.
Yeah, amen.
Number one, man. He's the reason why we all here.
Right.
At the end of the day, we reflections of each other. So I want to thank God for just bringing my parents here to be able to create me, to be able to give the knowledge that I'm giving, man. And my family, man. I just got to thank them for my family. They the reason why I do the things that I do on a day to day. So, and I want to thank you, Matt, personally for, interviewing me, man.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think you're genius in the stuff you create, and I appreciate you taking the time and having me ask you some questions. So thank you again. And I wrote it down. So Address the Culture University drops tomorrow. It's 64 Boys, folks. Definitely go check out he has a great YouTube channel as well on Spotify, so you can see all the great work he's done. And thank you again for being on the show. And I hope to see if you're ever in St. Louis, open invitation. I do the show out of my house, so it's a little studio in my basement. So love to have you on.
Hey, sounds good, man. Thank you.
All right. Who you want to win for the Super Bowl Sunday?
Man, my team not there, so I really don't care.
Who would be your team? Where are you close by?
I'm a Atlanta Falcons fan.
Oh, Atlanta Falcons. Okay. Okay.
Hey, I'm still upset from the Patriots Super Bowl when we played them.
Right. I hope the Bengals win, because St. Louis, we used to have that team and they moved to L.A. and so.
Oh man, yeah, that's disrespectful.
I'm kind of bitter.
Bengals take it.
Right, so I'm kind of bitter. So I'm hoping the Bengals win, because I've never even seen the Bengals in the Super Bowl. So I always root for the team that's never won it before. So.
That sounds good, man. Yeah. Well, look, I hope it's a good Super Bowl. That's all. I hope it's a good game, not a blowout.
Right. I always like the close games too. All right, my friend. I will hopefully see you one day in person. If not, let's stay in touch and great things to happen for you. So thank you again.
All right, Matt. Thank you.
All right. Take care now.
All right, you as well.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. That was its64boy, a super music producer. What a great interview that was. Address the Culture University is going to be out tomorrow on his Spotify channel. I'm going to click on it right now one more time so we can show you guys that. So definitely go to Spotify and check him out. He has a lot of great music, and what a great family man, great guy he was. So thank you for being on the Daily Dirt with Dustin Diggs. Thank you guys for watching. We will see you again tomorrow.
I'm about to The Daily Dirt with Dustin Diggs. The Daily Dirt with Dustin Diggs. Dig.